Thank you, Dan. Thank you for the great opportunity. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bhupesh Naik. I head the digital innovation strategy for Infosys in Europe. Just a quick check before I jump into the session. I just wanted to see how many of us have done any kind of a business process management or a BPM initiatives in their organizations. If I can see some hands up. Okay, almost all of them. That's good. I think how many of us are actually looking at transforming the organizations digitally and trying to look for digital process automation to be implemented? Okay, that's few than the last one. So, and how many of them know the difference between BPM and a DPA, the digital process automation? Okay, that's more few. So it's good because if you are knowing what DPA and BPM means, then we would have closed the session in 5 minutes. But I think it's good that we have continued the session now. Business process management have always been an initiative that we have done since about more than 10 years or 15 years now. It was more focused on cost efficiencies, standardization of processes, and compliance. And also we have been using techniques like Six Sigma to do error reduction in the business processes. But these business process management tools and technologies and the approach were just enough when we were having a lot of back office transformation or more focused on process mining and process improvement. But now we are into an era of a digital economy, and that's where we see a lot of technologies like social, mobility, analytics, RPA, location-based services, robotic process automation, all coming together. Now, to deal with these technologies and create solutions for yourself to drive new digital transformation, it's important to have a new approach than a traditional BPM ways of working. And that's where digital process automation comes into picture. It brings you an ability to redefining your approach to your requirement analysis, design, and development, include the technologies much upfront in your requirement analysis and design to ensure that you get a substantial business benefit during the journey, as opposed to some of these capabilities like I will do social later on, I will do intelligence 6 months later, or I will do RPA 8 months later, and you will actually not get any digital effectiveness within your processes, but you may actually get some just cost efficiencies out of it. So DPA is more focused on making the money than just reducing the cost. So that's very key. Just to give a few examples on the digital process automation, one of them is supply chain ecosystem, where you can actually find events out of IoT sensors of moving goods and assets, and then take it inside your application and do payment transactions automatically, use blockchain and smart contracts to actually execute those digital contracts automatically. So that's one of such process journey or one of such customer experience transformation that you would see. Another one is if you can actually use your a mobile camera, take a picture of a broken TV, send it to your insurance organization that whom you bought the policy from, and the claims can be automatically done in an extremely fast manner by just looking at the image analytics, scoring that broken TV image, rather than having a too much amount of manual process, but using the digital capabilities, of course. So DPA is actually influencing the customer experience in every fashion. So it's more focused on influencing the customer experience as opposed to just doing a process management. Another example that I will give you is also on lending and mortgage transformation, where you could see a lot of capabilities you would like to bring it to the user from a self-service manner. Example, your pre-calculation, pre-assessment, as well as you would, once you get into the mortgage processing, you would use a lot of e-signatures, digital contracts to actually execute the mortgages. Now, if you look at these capabilities right up front in your business process, you would actually get a driver towards business benefits much faster, as opposed to this being an afterthought in your engagements. Now, another example also I would like to give you is like if you are sitting at home and watching a 4K movie, your wife has decided to kind of listen to some songs, as well as your son is trying to play a network Minecraft. Now, your broadband capacity, is actually at the stretch. So your telecom organizations can proactively identify such situations by monitoring your router at the home and giving you an offer of upgrading your bandwidth proactively, as opposed to you thinking that nothing can be done at home, and your emotions at home are really bad. But this can be monetized by the telecom organization as a moment, and actually you can make sense out of it and drive new business economy, as opposed to just wait for the customer to call the contact center and do certain things at the later stage. So this is again an improvement over the customer experience that you can bring in by just focusing on the digital technologies, as I mentioned. Another one I wanted to kind of touch upon is also that we are doing some of the innovations with insurance companies by monitoring the telemetry information of car. For example, if you are driving in a certain pattern, whether it's good or bad, we monitor it and then send it in the insurance applications, where we can actually change the policies in such a way that you get a better price next time. So even that is influencing your complete customer experience channel, as opposed to just focusing on a process management. But if you look at all of these examples have one thing common. They are focusing on customer experience, lesser on the cost optimization, and more importantly, have a completely different nature of solutions than your traditional BPM. Now, to drive that, what we do is we actually focus on customer journey mapping at the beginning, as opposed to business process analysis or level 1, level 2, level 3 of business processes. So you identify your customer journey, create your heat maps called moment of truths, identify where the heat maps is, and more importantly, the second thing you would like to do is understand the technology upfront. Technology doesn't come 3 months later after your requirements and analysis of process management. Do workshops with your partners, do workshops with you, with us if you are involved. Come up to a conclusion that I understand what social means, I understand how analytics behaves, I really understand what blockchain can actually help me with. So we have scenarios and demos that can help you to understand technology upfront before you jump into the requirement analysis. And then what we do is we bring all of these audience together. So if you're in an organization, we do these workshops with business, operations, IT, all of them together, make them aware of the technology upfront, understand in which scenarios, in a simple language, which scenarios this can be used. And then we get into design thinking workshops. The design thinking workshops will help you to kind of collaborate between all of your stakeholders and create a set of features which are possibly desirable in nature and what is feasible in nature. Feasible in nature is what respect to giving respect to time, obviously availability of resources, and the business benefit. And this particular approach actually lands you with a good set of ability to take into control of digital initiatives and not just focus on a traditional BPM ways of working. Now, if you do all of this together, your digital transformations are much more faster in nature. You don't have to really have anything afterthought after you implement a process and do digital capabilities, a year later or 6 months later, just to get a technology in place. But you can put all of this together in your first analysis itself, and then you see that the amount of effort of your implementations will drastically reduce, and you get a faster business benefit as well. So that's a very key important message I wanted to give today. Eventually what you will see is that when you start implementing this, you will move out of your BPM ways of working because the nature of the such capabilities are more digital to be incorporated. And this helps you with an extremely good point that your digital transformations will give you a faster benefits and more relevant benefits, to be honest. But if you want to know more about this and how we are doing this with multiple other customers of us, we have a booth just around the corner, and I would really like to have a conversations with you if you can drop by the place. Thank you very much.